Okay, sesi yang sebelum ni memang okay. Alright, so we are live on recording. Alright, so Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So we are going to target to finish 6.2. Okay, this is 6.3. Okay, 6.2. On our previous session, it's very short, 6.1. I did it on purpose because I feel that if I jump into 6.2 after 6 and then 6.2 and I stop it halfway, you guys akan macam tergantung dan tak faham. So, tu saya sengajalah 6.1 on our previous session. Memang very brief and short, but this one kita akan cuba buat sama-sama lah. Walaupun susah ke senang, kita sama-sama tu yang penting. Okay. So 6.2 light dependent reaction. Okay, on our previous session, I have mentioned during the process of photosynthesis ni, dia ada dua part, light dependent and light independent reaction, just like shown in this diagram over here. Okay, so actually this diagram when it is put with this gray square here, rectangle here, doesn't mean dia ditutup as in tutup tak perlu tengok. No, it's trying to show that this occur without the dependent of light. Maknanya tak ada bergantung kepada cahaya matahari. This part, this called Kelvin cycle. This part, okay. So whereas this part of the reaction fully dependent on light, so that is why it is called as light dependent reaction. This one, the one that I'm circling with my cursor right now. This one, okay. So on 6.2, we first going to focus on light dependent reaction on the earlier part. Okay, so the linear outcome for this is to explain the conversion of light energy into ATP and NADPH. Okay, so nak jadi nak tukarkan light energy ni kepada ATP dan NADPH. Okay, why do we really need to convert it into ATP and NADPH? What is the significance of this? Okay, wait until the next two following slides, yeah. Okay, but before that, we go to slide definition for those two. So light dependent reaction, macam saya cakap tadi, location dia is on the thylakoid membrane and it requires sunlight. I mean requires light energy. Okay. Thylakoid membrane. Okay, the diagram for thylakoid membrane. Okay, if I can quickly jump to this one. If you still could recall, because still could recall, I hope you guys can still recall. Inside the structure of chloroplast, or chloroplast is the name of the organelle. Nama organelle dalam sel tu adalah chloroplast. Inside the chloroplast, where you find this stacks of coins, macam stacks of disc shape structure ni, nama dia thylakoid. So thylakoid itself has a membrane. So this reaction that we're going to discuss over here, light dependent reaction, occurs or takes place at the thylakoid membrane. So please do bear that in mind. So please locate your thinking rightly. All right. So next thing is that light independent reaction, or called as Kelvin cycle. Bukan Kelvin Klein Kelvin cycle. Kelvin Klein tu brand yang korang nak pakai kan. Okay. Location stroma. Stroma ni inside the chloroplast, inside the organ. It does not require light energy. So where is stroma? Ya, ada pun diagram next tadi pergi jauh-jauh pula. So here is stroma. That's why you see this diagram is being drawn outside of the thylakoid. So this is thylakoid. Okay, tadi yang saya nak cakap tu. Okay, here. What is the significance of ATP and NADPH? Kenapa this light dependent reaction needs to produce ATP and NADPH? Because of this. Okay, so this is the very brief summary of bukan summary, a great overview of this process of photosynthesis. Okay, light dependent and light independent reactions, they are dependent on each other. Maknanya saling bergantung antara satu lain. Kau perlukan aku perlukan kau perlukan aku balik. Macam tu gitu. Okay, so why? Here is the significance. Okay, so during light reactions, it will produce ATP and NADPH, which will be used during Kelvin cycle, and Kelvin cycle will give back, I mean dah pakai kan, dia return back dalam bentuk ADP and inorganic phosphate. So the NADPH is converted into NADP plus. This NADP plus and ADP plus inorganic phosphate will later be used again by the light reactions. Okay, do bear in mind again, what is the main purpose of photosynthesis? Is to produce sugar, CH2O. Okay, that is the empirical formula of sugar. Okay, so basically, if we just have carbon dioxide and Kelvin cycle, you cannot produce sugar. You cannot produce the sucrose. Okay, why? Because you need ATP and ADPH. Where do you get the ATP and ADPH from? From the this light dependent reaction. Okay. So on the other hand, this light dependent reaction, it will uses up water okay, uses up water yang being absorbed daripada akar tumbuhan tu, and it will be converted into oxygen. So that is why the product of photosynthesis are oxygen and sugar. Okay, and on top of that, it also produce so these are the two produce a product of photosynthesis. Macam tu. Okay, so it uses light, energy, water, and carbon dioxide. Ada cuba masuk. Okay, so that is the overview of photosynthesis. Okay, so now we're going to look at the detailed structure of the photosystem. Photosystem tu. Okay, photosystem ni, if you can see, if you can refer from this diagram, saya besarkan sikit. Okay, it is this purple structure here. All of this consisting of purple structure over here. So you can see the label over there, photosystem. So photosystem consists of many of these components. Ada banyak components ni. Okay, so photosystem consists of many of these components. So, where you can find this photosystem, surely by no surprise, it is on this membrane. So, what is the name of this membrane? Jesselinda. Jesselinda ada tak? Jesselinda, are you here? Eh, Jesselinda, sorry, Jesselinda bukan kelas. Allah, saya terkelas. Ivy, Ivy ada? No, ni 3-2 kan? Ivy, tak mengaku ke? Ivy, Michelle. Oh, Michelle.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what is the name of the membrane, Michelle?
Thylakoid membrane.
Ya, betul. Correct. Kau memang padu. Okay. So, yes, this is thylakoid membrane. Where is this thylakoid membrane again? It is over here on this thylakoid. Okay. So, now what I want you to understand is that all of this process after this that we're going to discuss all takes place over here on this membrane, on the membrane of this disc-shaped structure yang dipanggil sebagai thylakoid. Okay. So, photosystem ni all together, apakah dia? Dah siap patah-patah kata orang, nak menumbuk orang kan, yeah, because we're going to deal with a great information. So it is a light capturing unit. So dia adalah unit untuk tangkap cahaya, untuk capture unit. Okay, capture unit, capture light. A unit located in thylakoid membrane of chloroplast that consists of a reaction center complex. Yeah, this is the reaction center complex. Tengah-tengah semua ni surrounded by light harvesting complexes. These are the light harvesting complexes. So secara umumnya apa kata photosystem? Dia adalah light reaction center complex yang dikelilingi oleh light harvesting complex. So basically this light purple here yang dikelilingi oleh magenta structure color over here. Okay, betul ke kalau magenta? Kasih hentam saya lah, kan? Okay, so now we look at the reaction center. What do you have? What we need to expect at reaction center? So reaction center complex, which is this one, reaction center complex. It is this whole entire color apa ni, biru cair ke purple cair ni? Macam ni lah, this yang macam rectangular structure ni. Okay, it is a complex of proteins associated with a special pair of chlorophyll A molecule. Bukan chlorophyll A molecule. Actually, this is chlorophyll A. I mean, dia adalah chlorophyll ada banyak jenis. Ada chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, chlorophyll. Ada xanthophyll, fucoxanthin dan banyak-banyak lagi lah. Okay, carotenoid dan sebagainya. So ni nak cakap chlorophyll A molecule. Actually dia sepatutnya italic sebab tu dia serasa macam pelik. Sorry. Ya, yeah, betul. Chlorophyll A molecule. Okay, so sebenarnya apa yang dia ada ialah ini dekat dalam ni dia ada dalam tu dia ada special pair of chlorophyll A molecules. Okay, dan juga a primary electron acceptor ni PEA, bukan kacang P. primary electron acceptor, which is this square over here. So itulah yang ada dekat dalam reaction center complex. Tak susah kan? Okay, next is light harvesting complex. Apa tu light harvesting complex? So light harvesting complex ni is this purple or magenta color over here. A complex of proteins associated with pigment molecules. So pigment molecules tu chlorophyll A, saya italickan dulu. Chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, and carotenoids semuanya ada di sini. Yang warna hijau-hijau ni, dia itulah chlorophyll, sama ada dia chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B ataupun carotenoids. Okey. Warna-warna chlorophyll ni nanti dia berbeza-beza warna sebenarnya, tapi semuanya akan warna hijau. Okay, again, so light harvesting complex ni ada kompleks yang ada molecules itu tadi that captures light energy. So this molecule, this pigment lah yang akan capture light energy and transfer it to reaction center pigments in a photosystem. Reaction center pigments tu ni lah pigment ni last sekali dia akan hantar ke pas elektron tu ke tengah sini dekat dalam dia reaction center complex. Okay, so itu adalah idea asas dia. Okay, yang capture light energy and transfer it to the reaction center pigments in a photosystem dekat sini. Okay, so ni gambar dia lah. So betul lah tadi ni adalah talikat membrane, photon of light dan sebagainya. Okay, before we step one step ahead, one step further, what is photon? So maybe you are looking at this photon. Ni bukannya proton lah, bukannya proton X50, X70, bukan. Photon ni is a particle of light. So if you learn physics, you may ask your physics lecturer. Photon is particles of light. Partikel-partikel cahaya itu. Okay. So how this photosystem harvest light? Macam dia tuai cahaya, macam mana dia tangkap atau macam mana dia ambil cahaya atau macam dia gunakan cahaya. So it goes with a pigment molecule in the light harvesting complex absorbs a photon. So dia absorb satu photon sahaja dulu. I mean satu pigment tu lah. Ni cerita pasal satu pigment. The energy is transferred from pigment molecule to another until pass to the pair of chlorophyll A in reaction center complex. So here what I want to tell you is that don't get confused. Apa yang dia pass here, you can see this black arrow over here being passed from one to another until the black arrow pointing this pair of chlorophyll A inside the reaction center. Okay, so apa yang dipass adalah energy, not the photon, not electron. Bukan. Electron nanti kita cerita. So here is the energy that is being passed from one pigment onto another pigment. Okay, so this energy dia bagi kepada siapa? Dia bagi kepada elektron. Elektron tu ada di mana? Ada dekat dalam pair of chlorophyll A ni. So di dalam chlorophyll A, special pair of chlorophyll A ni, dia ni special sikit. Orang lain tu chlorophyll ni, chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B lain, dekat lain ni tak special. But this one spare dan dia berpasangan. Okay, sebab dalam dia ada elektron. So semua energi tadi tu dia pass, dia bagi ke elektron ni. Later this electron is excited to a higher energy level, or we say is become photoactivated. We use the term past tense for the name of the process, for the perbuatan tu lah. Okay, so photoactivation adalah nama prosesnya. So when the question is asking you define or say describe photoactivation, it is about this electron are excited to higher energy level. Macam mana dia excited or how it is excited? Because it receive the energy daripada yang being passed from the pigment. Okay, so excited electron is transferred to the primary electron acceptor. Dah namanya pun primary electron acceptor. Dialah yang akan accept elektron tersebut masuk dekat sini. Okay. So what else do I need to tell you guys about this one? Photosystem. So dia harvest light. Yeah, it looks complicated but sebenarnya dia simple. Yeah, now you dah understand. Okay, so elektron memang ada dekat dalam chlorophyll A ni. Lepas tu dia akan excited dekat sini. And dekat dalam reaction center complex ni kan kita cakap tadi kan ada primary electron excited yang square ni. Okay. Next, photosystem. Okay, photosystem ni dia ada dua jenis. Photosystem 2 and photosystem 1. Okay, however, the one that is being used first ataupun yang mainkan peranan first is photosystem 2. Ironically, we start with 2 and then baru dia pergi ke 1. Okay, actually why you have this named photosystem 1 and photosystem 2, if I'm not mistaken, is actually because early during the time the scientists found out ataupun discover photosystem 1 terlebih dahulu. Lepas tu later they found ada lagi lah yang sebelum tu yang lebih penting, so we just name that photosystem 2. Macam tu lah. Tapi yang mula dijumpa satu namanya photosystem 1 dan photosystem 2. Okay, so photosystem 2 ni, okay, kita ada bagi tahu tadi dia akan absorb light, photon of light tu kan. So but it will only absorb at certain it only best absorb at certain wavelength only. Okay, so for photosystem 2, dia akan absorb the wavelength of 680 nanometers. Okay, so apa 680 nanometers ni? Jadi saya akan tunjuk light spectrum diagram tu. Ini sama ingat tak macam korang dah belajar last semester? Yang pasal wavelength of light tu, absorption of color semua tu, sama juga. Okay, jadi saya akan show you guys. Okay, so that is why the reaction center chlorophyll A nya ini, these dua bulat-bulat ni yang please refer to my top arrow. Kan arrow ni berpecah kepada atas, kiri, kanan dan bawah kan. Refer to the one that is pointing upwards. Okay, so these two electrons yang saya tengah tunjuk kat atas ni, so itulah reaction centernya, reaction center chlorophyll A P680. So nama lain dia adalah P680. This one adalah P700, yang the one that I'm pointing right now. Okay. So for photosystem 1, the best absorption wavelength is 700 nanometers, and sebab itulah reaction center yang dipanggil P700. Okay. Again, if you start to confuse, apa pula gambar-gambar ni? Nanti macam kita dah mula confuse kan, dah tak faham dah apa yang berlaku dekat sini ni. Okey, kan saya dah bagi tahu tadi, ini adalah photosystem kan. So photosystem tu adalah ini. So sebenarnya inilah benda yang sama tadi. So photosystem yang dalam gambar ni sini secara umum saja. Kita tak cakap lagi lah dia ni photosystem 1 atau 2. But if later we know, okay, chlorophyll A ni dia best absorb at 680, so kita tahu ada photosystem tu. Kalau this chlorophyll A best absorb at photosystem 700 nanometer, kita tahu lah ini photosystem 1. Macam tu. So all this photosystem dia terdapat dengan banyaknya bertebaran di dalam bukan dalam, pada thylakoid membrane. Okay, so we have this photosystem 2 over here, we have photosystem 1 over here. So sebenarnya dia adalah scattered on the surface of the thylakoid membrane. Okay, as I promised earlier, just now, okay, look at this wavelength of visible light. So visible light wavelength starts from 300 something until 800 perhaps here. After 700 is 800 over here. So the one that I mentioned to you just now, so we know that 700 nanometer, which is at this wavelength, this is best absorbed by the photosystem, photosystem 1. So photosystem 2 will be best absorbing light at around here kot. So 680 kan? Sekejap wait. 600, 620, 64, 68 over here. So lebih kurang kat sini jugalah. So this is the whole wavelength of spectrum yang korang dah belajar lah, especially dalam physics. So visible light ni sikit sini saja, ni infrared, UV, X-ray, radio wave dan sebagainya. Okay. So that is yang pasal tu. So light dependent reaction ni is reactions of photosynthesis in which light energy absorbed by chlorophyll. So tu kita cakap specifically by chlorophyll. Tapi kita tahulah chlorophyll tu sebenarnya terdiri daripada chlorophyll A, B, carotenoids yang terdapat dekat dalam light harvesting complex. Apa itu light harvesting complex? Intai balik this one. Ni, dekat dalam structure warna purple ni, pigmen-pigmen berwarna hijau, bulat-bulat hijau ni lah sama ada chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B atau carotenoids. So itulah pigmennya yang akan absorb photon of light. Okey, yang dia akan hanya absorb dia punya energy, pass energy sampailah dibagi kepada chlorophyll, special pair of chlorophyll A ni, iaitu dia punya reaction centernya. Okey. So nampak ni, reaction center chlorophyll A yang saya baru sebut tadi. Okey. So tadi tu saya sambung sini, energy which is light energy absorbed by chlorophyll used to synthesize ATP dan NADPH. Okay. Two events contributes for electron flow, non-cyclic and cyclic photophosphorylation. Okay, so I'm going to tell you here that, can you see this not this one, this arrow, this yellow arrow over here, this big one atas ni, and then sana dan ke atas. This arrow is showing or pointing to the movement of the electron, maknanya pergerakan elektron. Sama jugalah daripada yang sebelum ni pun, sebab ingat the first step of photosynthesis is splitting of water molecule. Okay, photolysis of water. Photolysis of water maknanya lysis pecah, photo cahaya, water maknanya water split by the sunlight. So water is being split by the sunlight. So dia kan dia H2O kan, oksigen ni dah pergi ke sana. H2 tu dia carries the electron, sorry, bukan carry electron, H2 itu H2, which is the hydrogen ion, dan elektronnya itu dibagi ke sini. Nampaklah arrow ni kan, dia bagi kepada reaction center ini. So saya kena panggil dia sebagai reaction center sahaja. Okay. So dia tanya kat sini, what is photophosphorylation? So this whole entire process kita panggil sebagai photophosphorylation, iaitu photophosphorylation ni adalah yang dekat dalam light dependent reaction yang perlukan cahaya matahari yang berlaku dekat thylakoid membrane. So what is photophosphorylation? We try to break down the words yang panjang-panjang ini. I will start with photo. Photo, yes, we means using light. Phosphorylation means somehow kita tambah fosfat lah. Tambah fosfat kepada siapa? Kepada ADP. Supaya jadi apa? Supaya jadi ATP. Okay, so sebab tu dah ayat dekat sini, formation of ATP daripada ADP dan inorganic phosphate by chemiosmosis. So this process here adalah nanti ada chemiosmosis over here using a proton motive force. Okay, proton motive force ni adalah ni lah, maknanya pergerakan proton ataupun hydrogen ion itu tadi yang dihasilkan generated across the thylakoid membrane during light reactions of photosynthesis. Okay, sounds so complicated, but worry not too much. I will later help you. Okay, looking at this diagram. Okay, so this diagram is a very good diagram showing you the overall idea what happens during this light dependent reaction on the thylakoid membrane. So we have this organelle, bukan organelnya adalah chloroplast. Dalam chloroplast ada structure ini called as thylakoid. So dalam thylakoid ni ada thylakoid space. So this is the thylakoid membrane. So on this membrane embedded itu maksudnya tertanam, consisting this proteins of photosystems. So dia ada photosystem 2 and photosystem 1. So if I tell you this is photosystem 2, we know the reaction center is P680, and by saying that as well, we know the light here, the photon of light here is that is best being absorbed is at wavelength of 680 nanometer tu tadi. Okay, so for photosystem 1 is 700. Okay, so so okay, the point that I'm trying to point the point of that to show over here is that, can you see the movement of this electron? Okay, so from this photolysis of water, it donates two electrons. Ada ni, nampak elektron ni pergi ke reaction center ini, and this yellow arrow here pointing upwards showing the photo activation, maknanya photo activation process of apa tu, the electron receive energy, okay, and photo activated kepada higher energy level. Mana tadi point ni saya nak tunjukkan semula dekat korang. Ni photo activation ni, proton excited at higher energy level. Okay. Alright. So then the same electron then being passed to plastoquinone. PQ ni plastoquinone. Sounds familiar? Yes, sure it is. But the one that you've learned in cellular respiration on previous chapter, namanya adalah ubiquinone. Ubi. Yang ni plastoquinone. And then it still have the same cytochrome complex, same name, okay. And then PC stands for plastocyanin. Okay. So the electron travels from this protein to this protein to this protein, and finally it passes into the reaction center of photosystem 1. Maknanya dia masuk balik ke dalam special chlorophyll A dekat photosystem 1 ini tadi. Alright, so the movement of this electron causes, menyebabkan the pumping of hydrogen ions or proton ke dalam inside the thylakoid space. So higher concentration of this hydrogen ion, bila dia dipump keluar with via ATP synthesis, dia akan menyebabkan production of ATP. So ADP and P is fixed, dicantumkan menjadi ATP. So itulah maksudnya tadi tu. But you are not really required to explain this in detail. But on your next session with semester with SDS, you might be required to explain that. But I'm telling you this for the general overview. So you dapat faham lah apa yang berlaku sebenarnya. Okay. Where am I just now? Okay ni. Oh sorry. Ini. Kan. So light dependent reaction ni yang kita bincangkan tadi, photophosphorylation itu tadi. So dia ada dua event. Photophosphorylation ni ada dua, non-cyclic dengan cyclic. Apa dia tu? Okay, so non-cyclic adalah linear electron flow. Linear ni maksudnya berterusan, dia tak ada di cycle, tidak di kitaran semula. Kalau yang cyclic ni, dia di kitaran semula, cyclic electron flow. Okay. Oh, tadi saya dah dekat sini. Saya terskip yang slide ini tadi rasanya. Okay. So photophosphorylation, kalau dah tahulah, dia generate ATP daripada ADP dan phosphate using a proton motive force. Proton motive force tu tadi yang bila hydrogen ion tu proton dipaksa untuk keluar. Okay, melalui ATP synthesis. So dia akan generated across proton motive force generated across thylakoid membrane during light reaction. Okay, so this one, the one inside this rectangle here is the non-cyclic photophosphorylation. Ini. The other one, which is this one, is cyclic. So you can see the electron travels from here, goes there until it being passed into NADP plus to become NADPH. Habis linear, satu garisan linear, and dia tidak di-cycle semula. For this one, it is being recycled again. Satu namanya ini adalah cyclic photophosphorylation. Okay. So for non-cyclic photophosphorylation, ini adalah diagram overviewnya. So you can see this here, electron. Kenapa ada dua elektron? Ya, memang ada dua elektron. Why? Because you need to remember there are two H2O, ada dua hydrogen over there. Okay, so there are two hydrogen ions over there, there are two protons over there. So it will contribute two electrons here to the reaction center, and these reactions electron yang duduk dekat dalam reaction center P618 ni will receive the energy, bukannya light. I repeat, dia bukan receive light, it receive energy. Okay, energy that is being passed by the pigments. Ini adalah photosynthetic pigments. Contoh photosynthetic pigments itu adalah chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, carotenoids. So again, the energy, where does it get the energy? From the photon of light, from the light particle itu tadi. Okay, so the energy pass to the electron tadi tu. So electron to receive bila dia energy, electron tu terima energy, dia menjadi tinggilah energy dia kan. So dia excited to high energy level, excited when pergi, dia melompat pergi ke primary, bukan lompat, don't use the term lompat I mean I just try to explain to you guys, use the term photo excited. Okay, melalui proses photo activation, it is then being accepted by primary electron acceptor, still dekat dalam reaction center ini juga yang berwarna light blue or light purple ni tadi. Okay, then the electron is passed to plastoquinone. So dia pun ada electron transport chain juga ni dekat sini. Sama, lebih kurang similar macam dalam respiration kita tu, dalam cellular respiration tu. Okay, so electron tu pass ke plastoquinone, pass to cytochrome complex, and then pass to plastocyanin. So when the electron is being passed from when the electron leave, meninggalkan cytochrome complex ni, dia akan menyebabkan hydrogen ion itu being pumped into the telecap space, and it will cause the generation of ATP by chemiosmosis. Apa itu chemiosmosis? Ni yang saya dah tunjukkan tadi ni. So this is chemiosmosis yang saya tengah bulatkan ni tadi. Okay. So then the electron will be passed to the pass to the reaction center P700. Okay, reaction center of P700 of the photosystem 1. So elektron ni yang tadi asalnya daripada photoresist photon, dia travel pergi ke sini. Then dia akan also excited to higher energy level lagi sekali, but this time energy datang daripada sini from photosystem 1, wavelength of of 700 nanometers. So then the electron excited to higher energy level, primary electron acceptor, then the electron will pass to FD ni adalah ferredoxin, and then these two electron will be passed to NADP+. Bukan yang dibagi kepada NADP+ reductase. NADP+ reductase ni adalah nama enzim. So enzim ni yang tolong bagi ke NADP+ untuk menjadi NADPH. So let's get that straight and clear. Maknanya kalau saya tanya, siapakah yang terima elektron tersebut? NADP+. Siapa yang bawa elektron tersebut adalah NADPH. So I hope that is very clear to you guys. So that is why NADP+ juga dipanggil sebagai electron acceptor, sebab dia yang akan terima. Nama lain juga bagi NADPH ini adalah electron carrier, because it carry. Okay, now let me test you sedikit. Okay, pemahaman korang. So ni agak sedikit complicated lah. NADP+ ini, it gain electron. Remember oil rig. So dia mengalami reduction. Reduction is gaining of electron. So dia NADP+ is being reduced to become NADPH. So let's get that straight and clear. Okay. So dia being reduced to become NADPH. So bila dia mengalami reduction, dia menyebabkan orang lain being oxidized. Mestilah berbalas-balas kan, sebab bila dia terima, mesti ada orang yang bagi, mesti ada orang yang lost. Oil oxidation is losing of electron. So siapa yang being oxidized in this case? Of course adalah ferredoxin, FD over here. So FD is being oxidized and ADP plus is being reduced. Oil rig oxidation is losing electron, reduction is gaining of electron. So nama lain bagi NADP plus ini adalah oxidizing agent, sebab dia menyebabkan orang lain teroksidize. Dia adalah agent pengoksida. So sebab tu dia adalah oxidizing agent. Gitu. Okay, boleh faham So NADP plus ni is a strong oxidizing agent. So itulah term yang saya nak gunakan. Sebab tu saya explain tadi tu. And you see there are many terms being used, new terms being used in this subchapter, many new concepts, a little bit complicated here and there, but surely it's you guys will be okay with it later sooner. That is why saya sengaja pisahkan 6.2 ni daripada 6.1 yang pendek yang on our previous session tu tadi. Okay, so now we go into the details. Ini cuma ayat formality saja. You don't get to be bothered by so much of these wordings. Basically, mostly saya dah cakapkan yang pun tadi. So tenang, rasa lega sikit dah kan. Okay, so now we see and test our understanding and we put it into the formality sentences macam ni. Okay. So event number one here over here. A photon of light, saya dah cakap, is absorbed by a pigment molecule in light harvesting complex of PS2. Apakah itu light harvesting complex? Ni yang warna dark purple ini. So what is the pigment molecule? Yang warna hijau-hijau ni tadi. So remember, the pigment can be sama ada chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B ataupun carotenoids. Okay. The energy, nampak tadi kita cakap pasal photon of light yang being absorbed. Lepas tu kita use the term the energy yang being transferred. So this black arrow over here is the energy, bukannya photon of light. Okay, so the energy is transferred from one pigment molecule to another pigment molecule until it reach the P680 pair of chlorophyll A. Apa P680 pair of chlorophyll A tu? Remember, these two green structure here is chlorophyll A, tapi dia adalah special dan dia dipanggil sebagai reaction center P680, P680. So the energy dibagi dekat reaction center ini. So tapi kita tahu siapa penerima energi itu sebenarnya adalah elektron yang ada di dalam P680. So until reach the P680 pair of electron molecules in the reaction center complex, di dalam yang apakah reaction center complex yang warna ungu cair ni. The electron, nampak kan? Tiba-tiba cakap, the electron dalam P680 excites to a higher energy state ataupun nama proses adalah photoactivation ataupun ayat saya akan gunakan the electrons the electrons in P680 photoactivated. Past tense perbuatan dalam proses ni photoactivated, is become a photoactivated. Okay, and being received by the primary electron acceptor. Okay, the photo electrons ni maknanya elektron yang sudah di photo excited kan itulah, is transferred to the primary electron acceptor. Kenapa font dia macam ni? The primary electron acceptor. Okay, yang ini namanya biasanya adalah phaeophytin. Kita skip the name tu tak apa. Thus, it creates electron deficiency in P680. So, maknanya bila elektron tu dah hilang, dah pergi, dia tak ada elektron lah kan? Tu dia cakap sebagai electron deficiency. So, namanya sekarang ditukar kepada P680 plus. Ada simbol plus. Bukannya iPhone je ada plus, iPhone plus, Samsung plus apa semua. Samsung tak ada. Dia juga ada plus. Okey, kenapa ada plus? Sebab elektron yang meninggalkan dia bercas negatif. So bila negatif tu keluar, dia jadi positif. Gitu. Alright. So ni sebenarnya yang kotak empat segi ni sebenarnya adalah simbol arrow. P680 arrow P680 plus. So when you see the label P680 plus, you tahu dan you faham dalam itu sudah tak ada elektron. Elektron yang sudah meninggal. Okay, so yang kalau you nampak dia P680, you tahu dalam tu ada elektronnya. Ada dua elektronnya. Datang daripada mana? Photolysis of water. Apa itu photolysis of water? The molecule of water dipotong oleh the sunlight, pisah, release the elektron, elektron tu pergi dekat dia. Okay. Pukul berapa? Okay, 6. Next, the P680 plus nampak. P680 plus becomes strong oxidizing agent that causes the splitting of water, i.e. the photolysis of water. So kita cakap dia oxidizing agent ni sebab dia akan menyebabkan orang lain lose electron. So maknanya dia akan nak ambil lah, nak terimalah elektron tersebut. Okay, the electrons from photolysis of water is used to replace electron loss from P680. Nampak kat sini tak ada plus kan? Maknanya tadi dia ada elektron, yang ini yang tak ada elektron. Itulah bezanya terms tersebut. Okay, so this is the process of photolysis of water, H2O, with the use of the enzyme that can split into this, and also electron. The proton, the two hydrogen ion, release into the tiny space. Ini akan replace the lost electron in P680 plus. Okay. Photo-excited electron, yang tadi tu yang excited to high energy level kan, passes from primary electron acceptor of the PS1 pergi ke from PS2 to PS1 via electron transport chain. Maknanya elektron tu daripada PS2 nak pergi ke PS1 via electron transport chain. Okay, so along the electron transport chain ada plastoquinone, cytochrome complex dan plastocyanin. The transfer of electrons through electron transport chain will release energy. The energy release is used to synthesize ATP from ADP dan inorganic phosphate by chemiosmosis. Ini semua yang saya dah tunjukkan tadi. Okay, so inilah apa yang semua berlaku. So elektron ni photolysis of water pass pergi ke plastoquinone, cytochrome complex dan plastocyanin. Okay, so ini adalah chemiosmosis yang berlaku dekat bawah ni. Tadi saya pun dah cakap juga. Okay, and at the same time, photon is absorbed by pigment molecule in light harvesting complex of PS1. So mana cakap PS1 tadi tu pun buat kerja dia juga at the same time juga sana tu pun buat kerja. Okay, so which is yang inilah, ini pun buat kerja, ini pun buat kerja juga. Okay, so light energy is transferred from one pigment molecule to another until it reach the P700 pair of chlorophyll A. So tapi kita tahu dekat dalam P700 ni juga ada elektron. Daripada lagipun tak ada plus kat sini. Dari mana dia dapat elektron ni? Jangan lupa dia dapat elektron ni daripada sini. Dia dapat elektron ni. Ni nampak. Ni adalah follow my arrow atasnya. This are the saya besarkan lagi. Kau tak nampak juga, tak tahulah. Okey, ngam besar. This P700 ni dalam ni nanti ada elektron. Elektron datang daripada mana? From here, here, and also from this splitting of the water molecule. Nampak kan? Okey, besarnya. Alright. So kat sini pun dia tunjuk juga elektron tu pass sampai ke P700. So the electron inside this P700 also will receive the energy. Daripada mana? Daripada pigment molecule. Where does this pigment molecule get the energy from? Daripada photon. Okay, photon absorbed by the pigment and the energy is passed from one pigment to another pigment to another pigment molecule until it reach the reaction center. Okay, the electron in P700 excites to a higher energy level. The photoexcited electron is transferred to primary electron acceptor of PS1, creating electron deficiency in P700. Now P700 ada arrow kat sini, namanya bertukar menjadi P700 plus. Okay, so electrons from P680 of PS2 akan gantikan, will replace the lost excited electrons from P700. Maksudnya macam ini. P700 ni kan dah hilang elektron dia tadi kan dia excited to high energy level kan. Dia diganti oleh elektron yang datang daripada P680 ni tadi, daripada photosystem 2 ni tadi. Okay. The photoexcited electrons from primary electron acceptor of PS1 are passed to a second electron transport chain through ferredoxin. So dia ada dua ETC dekat sini, electron transport chain dekat sini. So this is the first electron transport chain, this is the second electron transport chain. So tapi dekat sini hanya ada satu protein sahajalah yang terlibat, iaitu ferredoxin, which is simbol dia FD over here. Okay, electrons are transferred to NADP+. Nampakkan saya dah cakap tadi kan, elektron tu ditransfer ke NADP+. Bukannya dia transfer pergi ke NADP+ reductase. Dia tu hanyalah enzim dia yang bantu buat kerja je. So ni nampak NADP+ reductase will catalyze the reduction of NADP+ to NADP. Nampak? Reduction. Reduce. Sebab dia gain of electron. NADP+ is reduced to become NADPH. Okay. H+ ni datang daripada stroma. Okay. Next, product of non-cyclic photophosphorylation are ATP dan NADPH. Ini akan dirilis into stroma and will be used in Calvin cycle. Yang saya dah duduk cakap pada awal tadi tu, iaitu Calvin cycle ni tu yang Calvin cycle yang light independent reaction. Okay. So keluarlah lagi sekali gambar ini. NADPH ini akan pergi ke Calvin cycle, ATP ini akan pergi ke Calvin cycle juga. Ini semua dekat dalam stroma. Stroma ini dekat dalam struktur kloroplast tu, cair dalam dia. Okay. So itu adalah yang tadi itu adalah non-cyclic photophosphorylation. Now we have the other one which is cyclic photophosphorylation. Sikit je lagi kita nak settle. For cyclic photophosphorylation ni, look at observe the electron flow. Elektron tu daripada sini naik ke atas, pergi ke ferredoxin, sama ke ferredoxin, but then the electron is not passed to the NADP+. Dia dipas balik pergi ke cytochrome complex and then pass back to plastocyanin, masuk balik dalam photosystem 1. So dia pusing-pusing-pusing dekat dia sahaja. Okay, by doing this, it still will generates ATP, but it will not generate NADPH. So itulah bezanya of this cyclic photophosphorylation. So kalau soalan tu tanya, where does the electron of cyclic photophosphorylation comes from? Jawapannya daripada photosystem 1 itu sendiri. Maknanya daripada photosystem 1 pergi ke pusing kembali ke photosystem 1. So jawapannya daripada situ. Kalau soalan tanya mana datangnya elektron untuk cyclic non-cyclic photophosphorylation yang terus saja tu datangnya daripada photolysis of water ini. Ini adalah non-cyclic photophosphorylation kan. So katanya mana datang elektron ini datangnya daripada photolysis of water. Kalau cyclic, daripada mana datangnya elektron tu datang daripada photosystem 1 itu juga sendiri. Namanya pun cyclic kan. Okay. Photon is absorbed by pigment molecule in Photon is absorbed by pigment molecule in light harvesting complex of PS1. Sama je, similar. Energy is transferred from one pigment molecule to another until it reaches the reaction center of P700 pair of chlorophyll A. Electron in the P700 excites to a higher energy level. We call this process is photoactivation. The electron is transferred to the primary electron acceptor, thus creates the electron deficiency okay, menjadi P700 plus. Okay, so now the P700 plus, and the photoaccepted electrons are passed through electron transport chain ferredoxin. Tapi dia punya transport chain dah ferredoxin, cytochrome complex dan plastocyanin. So dia tak ada plastoquinone. Macam tu, okay. And during the transfer of electrons, energy is released. Okay, iaitu ATP lah. Untuk hasil ATP lah, the energy release is used to form ATP daripada ADP plus P inorganic phosphate. So from plastocyanin, the electrons will return back to P700, produce only ATP that will enter the Calvin cycle. So maknanya dia tak hasilkan NADPH lah untuk Calvin cycle. Macam tu. Okay, so cyclic versus non-cyclic similarities. Okay, similarities dia ada banyak. Okay, banyak kenapa? Dia ada light harvesting complex, it still uses light energy, dia ada transfer of electron, ada banyaklah similarities. Differences dia, electron flow. Maknanya daripada mana pergi ke mana, siapakah last electron acceptornya, dia juga. Maknanya P700 jugalah last electron acceptor, P700 jugalah adalah yang akan bagi elektron tu juga. So electron source, photosystem, produk dia apa, hanya ATP saja. Photolysis berlaku ke tak berlaku. Untuk non-cyclic berlaku, untuk cyclic tak berlaku photolysis of water. Macam tu. And this is the summary. Alright. So the light reactions consisting of photosystem 2 and photosystem 1. Okay, dalam light reactions ni. So remember dalam light reactions ni ada cyclic dengan non-cyclic photophosphorylation. Okay, so dan dia akan bagi ATP and NADPH pergi ke sini. Alright, our timing is on perfect dot. Okay, so for 6.3, we will continue on our next session. Alright, so I think until that's all. Okay, so saya stop recording dahulu. Okay, okay, ada